So an important aspect of the OSA platform design is redundancy. And it's not just redundancy for reliability, but it's redundancy for the concept of availability. And one of the most important aspects of lifecycle cost and lifecycle maintenance is doing firmware upgrades in the field. And so we want to focus on how we've made that process so seamless. Here in the back plane, we're demonstrating the redundancy across the whole system. In this case, we have a universal I/O module that's running fully redundant, and we have our universal controller and the universal power supply, all of which are running redundant. And so what we'll demonstrate is remote access in autonomous operation. And by doing that, what we have set up is on the other side of the booth here, through a cellular connection over a public network, we have an encrypted and authenticated communication tunnel to an engineering workstation on the other side of the room. And we'll demonstrate an engineer that goes up to that workstation, and through biometric identity and mutual authentication, that engineer then has access to be able to make a firmware upgrade to this controller. And you'll see that through the entire cycle how fast it is, and the fact that through the whole cycle of a firmware upgrade of both the primary and secondary controller, the inputs and out of this module has been tied back to the output. So in this oscilloscope, it's monitoring the 4 to 20 milliamp signal. It's going from 0 to 100% back and forth. And the importance is that you'll be able to watch the signal, which is sent to an actuator, a valve, at that speed, with a controller that's running its database at a 10 millisecond refresh rate. And we're going to perform a firmware upgrade from across the room, but that across the room could be any distance from anywhere between 2 points that are available in a public network.
So here we're going to go in, update the firmware of the primary controller, select the latest version, and start the upgrade. Okay, as we just completed the firmware update on the operator station, you'll notice as the controller comes in, you'll first see the controller power cycle. It'll go into a red state and start doing its reboot process. At that point, you'll notice the lights change from the primary to the secondary controller, with a secondary controller taking over as the new primary controller. All the while that's happening, we have that running on the oscilloscope, and it never blips its cycle, and you continue your full operation operating a firmware upgrade through a bumpless upgrade.